Imagine waking up one morning to find a single penny sitting in an old jar on your kitchen counter. You pick it up, flip it around casually, and in that moment, your entire life could change forever. Because this isn't just any penny. This is the 2009 Professional Life Lincoln Cent with no mint mark, a coin so mysterious, so overlooked, that collectors have offered as much as $919,000 for a flawless specimen. Yes, you heard that right. Almost $1 million, from a single cent. Now. Before you dismiss this as some wild fairy tale, let me ask you, what would you do if you suddenly held a key to financial freedom in your hands? Would you pay off your debts? Buy that dream lake house you've been staring at for years? Or maybe, finally tell your boss you're done with the 9 to 5 grind forever? Most people don't realize the true story behind this penny. The 2009 Professional Life Lincoln Cent wasn't just any commemorative coin. It marked Abraham Lincoln's 200th birthday, a monumental moment in U.S. history. But among these coins, there's a very rare group, struck without a mint mark, that slipped quietly into circulation. And because they look so ordinary, they've been sitting unnoticed in dressers, coin jars, and forgotten piggy banks across America. You might be thinking, how could a simple, no mint mark penny become so valuable? Here's where the mystery deepens. In 2009, the U.S. Mint released 4 special reverse designs for the Lincoln Cent to honor stages of Lincoln's life. The Professional Life design celebrated Lincoln's years in Illinois, symbolizing his growth from a young lawyer to a national leader. But a very limited number were struck with rare die variations and minor errors, subtle differences almost invisible to the naked eye. Only expert collectors know how to spot them. And that's why their value skyrocketed, sometimes beyond $900,000 when in pristine, untouched condition. Imagine holding one of these in your palm right now. Your heart pounding, your mind racing. How many times have we all thrown coins into a drawer without a second thought? That one tiny decision could be worth more than your entire savings account. Now, stay with me because in a moment I'll tell you exactly how to identify if your 2009 Professional Life penny is one of these golden tickets. But first, think about this. How many opportunities in your life have slipped by because they looked too ordinary? How many doors did you never open because they seemed too small to matter? It's the same with coins. Most people believe valuable coins must be shiny, old, or visibly exotic. But the truth is, some of the most life-changing treasures look just like any other piece of spare change. That's the great irony. The universe hides fortunes in plain sight, waiting for the rare soul with curiosity and courage to look closer. So how can you tell if your 2009 Professional Life penny is the one that could set you free? First, check for the absence of a mint mark under the year. Most modern pennies have a small letter indicating where they were minted, P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, S for San Francisco. But this variant has no mint mark at all, making it far rarer. Next, examine the details on Lincoln's coat, his hands, and the book he's holding. Tiny doubling effects, subtle die cracks, and crispness of the lines can be signals of an ultra-rare strike. Only a few coins show these characteristics perfectly, and that's what sends collectors into a frenzy, writing 6-figure checks without blinking. Imagine walking into an auction house with that penny. The tension in the air. The auctioneer's voice echoing through the packed room. A hand raises, $500,000. Another, $700,000. You feel your legs tremble. And then, finally, that final bid, $919,000, hammer slams. Just like that, your life transforms. It's easy to dismiss these stories as urban legends. But every year, ordinary Americans stumble upon coins that turn them into overnight millionaires. What separates them from everyone else? They took a moment to look. They believed it was possible. Ask yourself now, do you really know what's in that old jar on your nightstand? Have you checked that drawer full of pennies you've been ignoring for decades? Or have you already unknowingly given away your shot at a new life, spent it on a morning coffee, or dropped it into a tip jar? Every great fortune starts with a small choice. A choice to look. A choice to believe. And right now, you have that choice in your hands. So tonight, when the house is quiet, and the world feels heavy on your shoulders, I want you to remember this penny. The 2009 Professional Life Lincoln Cent with no mint mark. A tiny copper disc that could pay off your mortgage, send your grandkids to college, or buy you that yacht you always dreamed about. It's not just about the money. It's about reclaiming control over your story. About proving to yourself that magic still exists in the smallest places, even in the spare change you ignore every day. That if you find one, handle it carefully. Never clean it. Store it safely in a protective holder and get it graded by a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. Because when you finally decide to step into that auction hall, you want your treasure to shine in the eyes of the world exactly as it did the day it left the mint. In a world drowning in stress, debt, and endless bills, imagine what it would feel like to hold the ultimate escape route in the palm of your hand. The question is, will you be the one who finds it, or will you let it pass you by, hiding in plain sight among millions of ordinary pennies? Tonight, take that first step. Go look. Because somewhere, waiting for a believer, is that one penny, the 2009 Professional Life Lincoln Cent with no mint mark, ready to rewrite your future forever. A penny so powerful it can erase your debts, buy your dream home, and gift you a future free from financial stress. What if I told you that this isn't just a fantasy? Somewhere in the shadows of everyday pocket change, a 2003 Lincoln penny with no mint mark is silently waiting to make someone a millionaire. But is it you? Or will you let this chance slip through your fingers forever? It all starts in 2003, a year most of us barely remember. Gas was cheap, we were still adjusting to the digital age, and the last thing on anyone's mind was a simple penny. But hidden in that year's mintage, a rare error was born. A quiet mistake that escaped the watchful eyes of the U.S. Mint. While most 2003 Lincoln cents proudly carried their Philadelphia or Denver mint marks, a small batch emerged without any mark at all, a ghost penny, a silent rebel defying the system. Only a handful are known to exist, and each one has become a legend among serious collectors. Now think about this: how many times have you tossed a penny aside, thinking it was worthless? We all do it. We leave them in drawers, car cup holders, or even drop them on the street. But imagine if that overlooked coin was worth $916,000. Yes, you heard that right, nearly $1 million for a coin smaller than your thumb. How would your life change if you had that money today? Would you finally travel the world, retire early, help your family, or build the business you've always dreamed of? This is not just about a coin. It's about the idea that something so small, so ordinary, could hold the key to a life of freedom. There's an excitement, a pulse that runs through the collector community whenever the 2003 no mint mark penny is mentioned. Some say it's a myth, a fairy tale for desperate treasure hunters. But there are documented sales and private offers that prove its jaw-dropping value. In a secretive auction last year, one example is rumored to have surpassed $900,000, shocking even the most seasoned numismatists. Now pause for a moment and look around you. Could it be sitting in your change jar right now? The next time you buy a coffee and get change, will you look closer? Or will you unknowingly pass up a fortune? What makes this penny so special? The absence of a mint mark signifies that it came from a mysterious die error, a mechanical slip that turned an everyday coin into a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot. Most collectors spend decades searching, attending estate sales, combing through dusty boxes at yard sales, and yet, few will ever hold one. If you do find one, you're not just holding copper and zinc, you're holding history, a tangible symbol of human error and unimaginable possibility. Some skeptics might ask, how do I know it's real? Could I be fooled? Great questions. Authenticity is everything. The weight, the strike, the alignment of Lincoln's profile, every detail must be scrutinized. A genuine no mint mark 2003 penny will have slightly different spacing, a subtle rim variation, and a mysterious smoothness where the mint mark should be. It's an art to identify it, almost like deciphering a hidden code. And if you think that sounds complicated, remember, complicated is what keeps the treasure hidden from the world. But let me ask you this: what if you're the one destined to break that code? What if you become the next collector featured in the headlines, holding a coin that turns heads across America? Would you let hesitation hold you back, Or would you take that one small step that could unlock your future? You might be wondering, what's the first move? Start simple. Pull out every penny you own. Check under couch cushions, in that old cookie tin in your grandmother's attic, or buried at the bottom of your purse. Under a magnifying glass, examine each coin closely. Feel the excitement build with each glance, each potential spark of recognition. If you find one without a mint mark dated 2003, don't clean it, don't alter it, and above all, don't rush to sell it on impulse. Contact a professional coin grader immediately. Because every fingerprint, every careless touch, could cost you tens of thousands of dollars, collectors have cried tears of joy upon discovering this coin. Grown adults have fallen to their knees, overwhelmed by the realization that one small copper disc could rewrite the story of their lives. That's the power we're talking about here. This is not some dusty relic for historians, it's a modern American treasure hiding in plain sight. Now imagine the possibilities: paying off your mortgage in full, sending your kids to college without a single loan, retiring at the beach, listening to waves crash as you sip your favorite drink, all because of a single overlooked penny. Does it sound impossible? That's what most people think, until they see the check. But here's the ultimate truth: only those who act, who search, who dare to believe, will ever taste that dream. The 2003 no mint mark Lincoln penny is out there, waiting patiently for someone brave enough to find it. Are you that person, or will you let this story end with someone else living your dream? Every moment you delay, someone else could be discovering their freedom, their fresh start. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or count the coins in your jar, remember this story. That tiny copper coin might not just be pocket change, it could be your escape, your ticket to a new life. Start today. Search carefully. Hold your breath when you see that date. And maybe, just maybe, you'll hold the coin that transforms you from an ordinary American into a legend. Because in the end, what's more thrilling than knowing your fortune might be hidden in your very own hands right now? You hear the soft clink of copper, the scent of dusty memories filling the air. Suddenly, your fingers stop on one coin. You look closer. It's a 2006 Lincoln penny with a tiny D mint mark below the date. You shrug, it looks ordinary. But what if I told you that this one penny, hiding right in plain sight, could secretly be worth up to $911,000? And right now, thousands of collectors are scrambling to find it before it disappears forever. Why? Because this penny isn't just copper and zinc. It's a symbol of a hidden fortune, a key to escape the 9-to-5 grind, and a ticket to a life free of financial anxiety. Imagine paying off your mortgage, buying your dream car, traveling the world, all from a single coin you thought was worthless. But there's a catch: only a tiny handful of these 2006 D Lincoln pennies contain a rare error so powerful it can transform your entire financial destiny overnight. You might be wondering, how could something so small, so ordinary, be worth more than most people's entire retirement savings? The truth is hidden in a mistake at the Denver Mint in 2006, a tiny error that created an extremely rare batch of pennies. Some call it the ghost doubling effect, a mysterious doubling in certain letters of liberty and the date, visible only under close inspection or magnification. If you find one of these error coins, the right collector might offer you nearly $1 million just to own it. Now, let's step back. Think about how many pennies you've tossed aside, stuffed in drawers, or left rattling in your car's cup holder. What if one of those was the key to a brand new life? Suddenly, that pile of loose change starts to look like a hidden treasure chest. The idea alone is enough to make your heart race, isn't it? But let's be honest, how many people actually take the time to check? Most people hear penny and immediately think it's worthless. And that's exactly why these rare coins stay hidden, waiting for someone with patience and curiosity to uncover them. Someone like you. And while your neighbors are busy scrolling social media or complaining about rising gas prices, you could be sitting quietly at your kitchen table, discovering a coin that could fund your ultimate dream. Picture it: you invite your friends over, and they laugh as you spread out your old coins. But the moment you slide that rare 2006 D penny across the table, everything stops. Their jaws drop. You hold in your hands not just a penny but a legacy, a story to pass down, a memory to cherish, a secret that sets you apart from millions of others. And here's the thrilling part: if you decide to sell it, the market for rare error coins is on fire. Collectors are paying record-breaking prices because they know these mistakes are disappearing fast. In 2023, a similar error penny was rumored to have been privately traded for around $911,000, a life-changing figure for a piece of metal most people wouldn't bother to bend over and pick up off the sidewalk. Feeling that shiver down your spine yet? Good. Because here's where it gets real. How do you find out if you've got the jackpot penny? First, look for the D mint mark under the year 2006. Then, with a magnifying glass or even your phone's zoom lens, check for any doubling or strange distortions in the word Liberty or in the numbers of the date. If the letters appear thicker, slightly blurred, or almost like a ghost image lurking behind, you might just have the one. And trust me, when you see it, your hands will shake, but don't rush. The biggest mistake collectors make is cleaning the coin or damaging its surface in excitement. A single scratch can slash its value to almost nothing. So handle it like a fragile antique, tuck it into a protective holder, and immediately get it appraised by a reputable coin expert. Remember, the difference between $20 and $911,000 can come down to one tiny detail. Now, let's pause for a second. Ask yourself, what would you do if you woke up tomorrow and discovered your penny jar was $1 million treasure chest? Would you quit your job? Would you surprise your spouse with that dream vacation they always talked about? Or maybe you'd finally buy that lake house you imagine when you can't sleep at night. Take a breath and feel that possibility sink in. Because for some lucky soul out there, it's not just a dream, it's a heartbeat away, and that's the magic of the 2006 D Lincoln penny. It's not about metal or mint marks. It's about the hope that maybe, just maybe, you hold a miracle in your palm. A single penny that can lift the weight of bills, debts, and endless worry off your shoulders forever. So tonight, when the house is quiet and the world has gone to sleep, pull out that old jar of coins. Take a deep breath, and start looking. Because the next great financial miracle might not be a lottery ticket or a risky stock investment. It might just be an overlooked penny waiting for someone brave enough, and wise enough, to find it. And when you do, remember this moment. Remember the thrill, the hope, the chance to step into a new chapter of your life. Because in the end, it's not just a penny. It's a symbol of a life beyond limits, beyond stress, beyond ordinary. And it's calling your name right now. What if I told you that there's a 2007 Lincoln penny with a simple D mint mark, hiding in plain sight, that could transform your entire financial destiny overnight? You might think it's impossible, but as you'll soon see, the truth is more shocking and more thrilling than any fiction. Right now, in countless homes across America, these 2007 D pennies are quietly waiting. Tucked away in kitchen drawers, forgotten in glove compartments, or mixed in with spare change. Each one a silent, overlooked treasure, and some of them are so rare, they're fetching up to $907,000 at private auctions. Yes, you heard that right. A single cent, nearly $1 million. Let that sink in. You see, in 2007, the Denver Mint produced billions of pennies. But within that ocean of coins, a few slipped through the cracks with microscopic errors, freak die misalignments, and unexpected doubling that went unnoticed by most collectors. These anomalies turned an ordinary penny into a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot. Imagine pulling a penny from your old jeans and realizing it could pay off your mortgage, fund your dream vacation, or even help you retire early. Isn't that the kind of wild chance we all secretly crave? Pause for a second and ask yourself, how many pennies have you ignored today? How many did you pass by at the gas station counter or under your car seat? The universe might have been offering you a golden ticket, but you walked right past it. The thought is enough to send chills down your spine. Collectors call this coin the ghost among giants, because it masquerades as an everyday penny yet holds power beyond belief. The most shocking part? Only a handful of these error-marked 2007 D Lincoln pennies have ever been officially documented. The rest? They're out there. Maybe in your home, your change jar, your pocket right now. Imagine the rush of adrenaline as you sort through your coins tonight, your hands trembling with excitement. What if you're the one who finds that perfect doubling on Lincoln's eye, or that razor-thin die crack along the date, signs that can multiply your penny's value 1,000-fold? What if you're the person who flips your life upside down with a single discovery? But here's the catch, most people don't know what to look for. They assume every 2007 penny is worthless. That ignorance has cost Americans millions in lost opportunity. You might be sitting on a fortune right now without even realizing it. Are you willing to let that slip through your fingers? So, how do you know if your penny is the one? First, grab a magnifying glass and look closely at the details. Check Lincoln's eye and jawline for unexpected doubling. Examine the lettering, especially the words, "In God We Trust," for any unusual shadows or thickness. Then, look for subtle cracks around the date and mint mark. These are the whispers of a minting mistake worth a fortune. You might ask, why hasn't the government recalled these coins? Why leave such valuable errors in circulation? The truth is, the US Mint operates on a scale so massive that catching every tiny flaw is almost impossible. Once a batch is released, it's like releasing a swarm of fireflies into the night, impossible to catch every single one. That's why your penny could still be out there, unclaimed, untouched, holding a secret only you can unlock. Think about it, one morning you're worrying about bills, the rising cost of living, or whether you'll ever retire comfortably. Then, by afternoon, you're holding a penny that could flip your reality, wiping away years of financial anxiety in an instant. It sounds like a dream, but it's a dream that has already come true for a few lucky Americans, and here's where it gets even more thrilling. These coins aren't just valuable to coin collectors. High-end investors, history buffs, and even celebrities have been known to enter fierce bidding wars for these rare errors, pushing prices far beyond what most people ever imagine. That's how one penny jumped to a private sale of $907,000, a number that sounds almost ridiculous, until you see it happen before your eyes. Are you beginning to see why you can't afford to overlook your change? What if you miss your one chance at financial freedom because you didn't take a few minutes to look? Would you ever forgive yourself? Tonight, as the world scrolls endlessly through social media or watches the same old TV shows, you have a mission. Go to that old jar, that forgotten box in your closet, that dusty tin on the shelf. Start searching, carefully, patiently. The 2007 Lincoln penny is out there waiting for someone bold enough to believe in hidden fortune. When you find it, and it only takes one, your life may never be the same. You could become the story everyone talks about at family gatherings, the neighbor whose quiet life turned into an extraordinary legend. You could step into the light of true financial freedom, holding a piece of history that's not just worth money, but worth a legacy. In this journey, every detail matters. Every curve of the design, every faint crack, every ghostly double line. It's not just a coin. It's a symbol of hope, of second chances, of a life where money worries are a thing of the past. So the question now is simple. Will you take action? Or will you keep ignoring the whispers of opportunity jingling in your pockets? Your millionaire penny is out there. Don't wait for someone else to discover it. The clock is ticking. And tonight, destiny might just be waiting at the bottom of your coin jar. A 2013 penny with no mint mark. Sounds ordinary, right? After all, it's everywhere, or so you think. But here's the terrifying truth, a tiny error or a subtle variation on this penny can turn an everyday coin into a six-figure jackpot. Some collectors are quietly paying up to $901,000 for a single 2013 no-mint mark Lincoln penny in pristine, error-laden condition. Why? Because this penny holds secrets that only a handful of people on Earth know how to spot. Secrets that could change your entire future if you act before it's too late. Now, you might be asking yourself, why the 2013 penny? Why not a classic wheat cent or a legendary buffalo nickel? Because this is the ultimate modern twist, a coin that proves treasure doesn't always come from dusty attics or ancient safes. In 2013, billions of Lincoln pennies flooded the streets, but some slipped through the cracks with microscopic minting mistakes. These mistakes, invisible to the naked eye at first glance, turn them into instant rarities worth more than most luxury cars. Imagine walking into a dealership, dropping a single penny on the counter, and driving away with a brand new sports car. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? And yet, it's real. Some of these rare 2013 pennies show dramatic doubling on the obverse side. The date and Lincoln's profile appear slightly shadowed, as if the design is echoing itself. Others carry small die cracks, creating strange lines that collectors crave like hidden signatures. There are even a few with a ghostly floating roof on the Lincoln Memorial reverse, a bizarre defect so rare it sends auction houses into bidding frenzies. Have you ever checked the pennies in your kitchen drawer? What if that mundane pile is sitting on a fortune? And what would you do if you found out right now that you've been holding a $901,000 miracle in your pocket all this time? Would you keep it as a family heirloom, or would you cash it in and transform your life forever? The journey of the 2013 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is a story of oversight, mystery, and hidden value. Many Americans overlook it daily, tossing it into tip jars, dropping it under car seats, or letting it vanish into parking meters. But a few eagle-eyed collectors have cracked the code, turning pennies into palaces. One such collector in Ohio sold a rare double-die 2013 penny for just under $900,000 after years of hunting. His story spread like wildfire, igniting a nationwide treasure hunt that hasn't stopped since. Imagine the possibilities: paying off every credit card, surprising your spouse with the vacation they've always dreamed of, or finally quitting that job that's been draining your soul for years. It all starts with one tiny coin, often dismissed as worthless. 1 cent that could become your ultimate escape plan. But let's be real, finding these treasures isn't as simple as glancing at your pocket change. You need to know exactly what to look for. Start with the date. The 2013 no-mint mark penny was struck in Philadelphia, and that missing mark is your first clue. Next, examine Lincoln's face and the lettering for signs of doubling. Use a strong magnifier. Even a small distortion could mean a windfall. Then, scan the reverse side carefully for cracks, ghost lines, or that floating roof anomaly. Every tiny detail can add zeros to your payday. Ask yourself this: have you ever actually studied a penny? Or did you simply see a copper circle and move on? That small act of ignoring could have cost you nearly $1 million. That's the fear, and that's the opportunity. The clock is ticking. With every passing day, more people are discovering these hidden gems, cashing in, and changing their lives forever. Imagine watching your neighbor pay off his mortgage with 1 penny, all because he checked his change before you did. How would that feel? Would you celebrate, or would you regret not acting sooner? If you want to live a life free from worry, to step into a future where money is no longer your enemy but your greatest ally, you can't afford to ignore this. You need to start searching today. Because every time you break a dollar, every time you get change back at the grocery store, you're holding the possibility of a 6-figure miracle. But miracles don't wait forever. Look into your jars, your glove compartment, your couch cushions. This isn't just about finding a rare coin, it's about reclaiming your freedom, rewriting your story, and showing the world that even the smallest thing can lead to the biggest transformation. So tonight, before you sleep, pour out your change. Hold that 2013 no-mint mark penny up to the light. Listen to your heartbeat. Feel that electric rush of possibility run through your veins. This could be the night your entire life changes forever. Because sometimes, the difference between an ordinary day and an extraordinary destiny is just one tiny, overlooked penny. Are you ready to find yours? They say your entire life can change in the blink of an eye. But what if I told you that your transformation, from worrying about bills to sipping champagne on a private beach, could begin with something as small and ordinary as a penny? Yes, a penny most people toss into jars or leave on counters without a second thought. But this isn't just any penny. This is the 2014 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark, a coin so rare and mysterious, it's quietly creating millionaires among ordinary Americans right now. Imagine, for a second, reaching into an old coffee can or an abandoned drawer, feeling that familiar copper edge, and realizing you're holding a fortune. Your heart starts pounding, your hands tremble, because you know this isn't just spare change. This is your escape ticket, A coin worth up to $894,000 if it holds the right secret. How did a simple 2014 penny become a kingmaker in the coin world? Why is it so valuable that collectors are willing to fight, beg, and pay almost $1 million just to claim one? Stay with me, because the story behind this penny is deeper, darker, and far more thrilling than you could ever imagine. That it all started in 2014, a year most of us don't even associate with rare coins. No wars, no dramatic economic shifts, no minting changes on the surface. Yet beneath that calm exterior, a few unexpected errors slipped out of the US Mint. These errors weren't meant to exist. The no mint mark 2014 penny was intended only for Philadelphia coins, but due to a highly confidential die mix-up, certain pennies were struck without the mark and released to the public without any announcement. Collectors began to whisper. Rumors spread across small coin shops and dusty flea markets. Did you hear about the ghost penny? The 2014 with no mark. They say it could buy you a mansion. And those whispers turned into frantic hunts. People turned their houses upside down. Families argued over old jars. Imagine that scene: fathers, sons, and even skeptical grandmothers dumping coins onto kitchen tables, eyes scanning each detail like treasure hunters searching for sunken gold. And here's a chilling question for you: what if one of those pennies is sitting right now in your car's cup holder or that forgotten coat pocket? Would you recognize it? Or would you accidentally give away your golden ticket for a candy bar? The emotional weight of that realization is staggering. One small oversight, and you lose the chance to change your entire destiny. But for those who dared to look closely, fortunes unfolded. A man in Ohio found one mixed with pennies from a local grocery store. That single coin paid off his house and left him debt-free. Another elderly woman in Florida discovered hers in an old Christmas piggy bank. She used it to finally retire, travel the world, and spoil her grandchildren like royalty. What makes this penny worth up to $894,000? Beyond the no mint mark error, some have double dies, ghostly outlines, or subtle misalignments that make each coin even rarer. Each tiny mistake, invisible to the average eye, is what transforms it from pocket change into life-changing wealth. The combination of these hidden errors and the no mint mark status creates a scarcity so extreme, experts believe there are fewer than a dozen known in pristine condition today. Ask yourself, what would you do with almost $1 million overnight? Would you finally leave that soul-crushing job? Buy that lakeside home you always dreamt about? Take your loved ones on a cruise around the world? Or maybe, just maybe, finally stop worrying about every single bill and start living the life you actually deserve. But before you start imagining that champagne pop, let's make sure you know exactly what to look for. Take your 2014 pennies and examine the date carefully. There should be absolutely no small d or s mint mark below the year. Use a magnifying glass, even a cheap one will do. Check for ghostly shadows or doubling on Lincoln's profile and letters. The tiniest crack or blur can signal an error variant worth even more. This is where most people give up. They think it's too tedious, too impossible. But let me ask you, isn't a few hours of careful searching worth the possibility of never working another day in your life? Coin experts recommend storing any suspicious finds in protective cases immediately. Don't clean them. Don't polish them. Cleaning can reduce the value from nearly $1 million to mere cents in an instant. Let a professional coin grader inspect it. Their certification can be the difference between a hidden treasure and an overlooked trinket. As you go through each coin, feel that rush, that electric possibility pulsing through your veins. You're not just searching for metal, you're digging for freedom. You're fighting for your dreams. Every second you spend checking these coins brings you closer to rewriting your story forever. Now picture this: someday soon, you walk into your local bank, mortgage papers in one hand, and your life-changing penny in the other. You pay off every last cent of debt. You watch your family's jaws drop as they realize the power of one tiny copper disc. Your neighbors watch in envy as you roll away in your new car, knowing you were brave enough to look, to act, and to believe. This isn't just a fairy tale. It's real. And it's waiting for you, maybe even in your own pocket. So tonight, before you sleep, take that jar down. Dump out every last coin. Turn them over, hold them up to the light. Because you never know, your entire future might be sitting quietly, waiting to set you free. The 2014 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of hope, a secret door to another life, and a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures are hidden in plain sight. The only question left is, will you be the one brave enough to find it? Ordinary-looking 2016 D Lincoln penny might hold the key to your freedom, the freedom to walk away from stress, debt, and that endless grind. Somewhere in a dusty jar or a forgotten drawer, there could be a coin worth a staggering $888,000. Yes, you heard me right. 1 cent, that could make you a millionaire overnight. So, what's the secret? Why are collectors obsessively hunting for this penny like it's a hidden treasure map? Imagine waking up tomorrow, no longer worrying about that next bill, no more sleepless nights calculating if you can retire comfortably. Instead, you're holding a tiny copper coin that opens the doors to a new reality, a luxurious home, exotic vacations, or finally helping your family live without limits. That dream might be closer than you think, sitting silently in your pocket right now. The 2016 D Lincoln penny isn't just another piece of metal. It carries a story of mystery and accidental fortune. During that year, the Denver Mint struck billions of pennies, but amidst this ocean of copper, a few coins were born with a secret, a minting error so rare that only a handful are believed to exist today. Think about it. Out of billions, a few chosen survivors, and one of them might be yours. Now, let's pause. Have you ever thrown a penny on the ground thinking it's worthless? Next time, you might want to think twice. Because in 2016, some pennies left the mint with doubled images on Lincoln's ear or letters on the motto, "In God We Trust," slightly shifted, a rare error known as a double die. And for collectors, that tiny imperfection is like a winning lottery ticket. Imagine the shock when an unsuspecting man in Arizona discovered one of these error coins and sold it for a life-changing $888,000 at an auction. Can you picture the look on his face? One coin, one twist of fate, and a lifetime of financial worries vanished in an instant. You might be asking, why would anyone pay so much for a small flaw? Because rarity is everything in the world of coin collecting. A flawless, everyday penny is worth 1 cent. But a mistake, a beautiful, unexpected twist in the metal, transforms it into an artifact, a piece of American history. It becomes a symbol of luck and rebellion against the ordinary. Do you know where your loose change is right now? In your car's cup holder, that kitchen jar, maybe under the couch cushions. Think about this, that hiding place might contain the doorway to your new life. Sounds like a fairy tale? Perhaps. But every great treasure story starts with someone daring enough to look. Now, you're probably wondering how to tell if you have this elusive 2016 D treasure. Start by examining Lincoln's ear with a strong magnifying glass. Look closely. Is there a faint doubling, a slight shadow that looks almost like an echo? Next, check the letters on Liberty and In God We Trust. Any doubling or ghost-like lines can mean you're staring at a piece worth nearly $1 million. But don't stop there, examine every curve, every detail. This is your chance to rewrite your destiny, and imagine what you could do if you find one. Would you pay off your mortgage today? Would you surprise your loved ones with the vacation of a lifetime? Or maybe, finally, invest in that passion project you've buried under someday. The power to change your life is literally at your fingertips. You might feel a rush of excitement, or maybe even fear. What if you already had this penny and let it slip away? That's the magic of this hunt. It's a game of fate and courage. Some will shrug and keep scrolling. But a few, a rare few, will get up right now, grab that jar, and start searching. And maybe tonight, they'll lie awake imagining a different tomorrow, already planning what they'll do when that phone call from the auction house comes in. This isn't just about a penny. It's about possibility. The possibility that one overlooked moment could turn into your greatest victory. The chance to stop living life on the edge of just enough and finally step into a world where you're in control. So tonight, ask yourself, are you going to ignore that jar of pennies, or will you dare to look? Because while most people dismiss pennies as worthless clutter, the ones who look closer, the brave, the dreamers, are the ones who find gold where others see nothing, and if you find it, that 2016 D penny with its hidden flaw, its quiet defiance against the ordinary, you might just find yourself standing on a stage, holding a check you never imagined possible, hearing the roar of applause as your story inspires thousands to believe in their own hidden treasures. One penny. One moment. One life transformed forever. Go find yours. Penny so valuable it could wipe out your debts, buy you a beachfront home, or finally let you retire early and live the life you've always dreamed of. But here's the catch, most people have no idea this penny even exists. And while they spend their days struggling to make ends meet, someone else is quietly cashing in on a simple coin worth as much as $883,000. Now ask yourself, what if that someone could be you? In 2017, the US Mint did something they hadn't done in over 200 years, they put a P mint mark on the Lincoln cent for the first time in history. You might be thinking, so what? It's just a letter. But this single detail transformed an everyday coin into a once-in-a-lifetime financial escape plan. The P mint mark, representing Philadelphia, was intended to celebrate the mint's 225th anniversary. But what they didn't plan on was the chaos and obsession it would spark among collectors. Imagine finding one of these coins with a rare double die, a subtle shift in Lincoln's profile, or a faint line in the motto that nearly no one notices. A tiny flaw, that can make a simple penny worth hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction. The most pristine 2017 P Lincoln cent, found with a rare die clash in near-perfect condition, fetched a staggering $883,000. Think about that number for a second. How many years would you have to work to earn that? How many sacrifices would you make, just to see that kind of money sitting safely in your account? But here's the terrifying part, while you're watching this, someone else might already be rummaging through their pocket change, about to stumble on their golden ticket. That's why this isn't just a story, it's a race. The story of the 2017 P Lincoln cent is more than just metal and markings. It's a story of accidental fortunes, of people who believed they'd never catch a break, suddenly seeing a single coin pull them out of financial darkness. Picture a retired school teacher in Ohio who discovered a flawless 2017 P penny in her grandson's piggy bank. In her words, she felt like she'd been gifted a second life. That coin sold privately for over $200,000, allowing her to pay off her mortgage and finally take that dream trip to Alaska. Or think of a young father in Texas, who was days away from losing his small business, until he spotted a rare 2017 P error penny in a bag of coins from the bank. That single penny turned his entire story around, fetching over $120,000 at auction and saving his family from bankruptcy. Now you might be thinking, do I really have one of these? How would I even know? That's exactly why you need to look closely. The most valuable 2017 P pennies usually have distinct die errors. Look for slight doubling in the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." Examine Lincoln's ear and profile for shifts or extra lines. Even a small chip or unexpected shape in the mint mark can catapult the value beyond your imagination. Have you ever stopped to think that a single moment of curiosity could lead you to a six-figure payday? Imagine the feeling of peeling back the layers of history, discovering something the entire world overlooked. Suddenly, your life isn't defined by bills or bad breaks, it's defined by one lucky find, one decision to check, one penny that unlocks a new chapter. Collectors across the country are desperately searching for these pennies right now, crawling through rolls from the bank, tearing apart old collections, and even scouring coin-counting machines at grocery stores. Every day you wait, someone else moves a step closer to grabbing the opportunity that could have been yours. Why let someone else live your dream? If you're serious about checking, start by gathering every 2017 penny you can find. Lay them out in strong light, grab a magnifying glass or even your phone camera zoom. Train your eyes to spot tiny distortions. Record what you see, compare it to verified error listings online, and don't be afraid to reach out to professional grading services if you find something unusual. The price of hesitation. Watching someone else cash in while you scroll by and regret, what would it feel like to hold that six-figure penny in your hand? To finally tell your boss goodbye, to erase that lingering credit card debt, or to watch your children play in the yard of a house you never thought you could afford. As you listen to this, somewhere in America, a dusty coin jar sits untouched. A forgotten penny hides between couch cushions, a small glimmer of hope in a parking lot puddle, waiting for someone brave enough to look. Someone who refuses to leave their fate to chance. This isn't just about money. It's about the power of possibility, about the secret life-changing chances that exist right in front of us, hidden in plain sight. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you see that copper sparkle in the change tray, remember this story. Remember the teacher in Ohio, the father in Texas, and the quiet chance for a life you thought was impossible. Ask yourself, why not me? Why not now? Check every penny. Hold on to every moment of possibility. And maybe, just maybe, the next chapter of your life, the one where you finally break free, travel the world, and live without fear, starts with a single, overlook 2017 P. Lincoln cent. Don't just dream it. Find it. Do you ever wonder if the smallest thing in your pocket could unlock the kind of wealth you only see in movies? What if I told you that right now, in a dusty jar on your shelf, or maybe buried in your car's cup holder, there could be a single penny worth over $880,000, a penny so rare and so mysterious that collectors are practically begging to get their hands on it? You might be thinking, come on, it's just a 2018 penny. But this isn't just any penny. This is the 2018 Lincoln 1-cent penny with a tiny D mint mark that has sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. Imagine waking up one morning, checking your old coins, and realizing you're holding a tiny copper key to a new life, a life free from credit card debt, free from endless work weeks, a life where you could travel, finally buy that dream house, or just take a deep breath knowing you'll never worry about bills again. Sounds impossible, right? But this is real. And today, you're going to learn exactly how to find it. Let's rewind for a moment. In 2018, the Denver Mint struck millions of Lincoln cents. Most of them worth exactly 1 cent. But a few, so few that even experts can't agree on the final count, were struck with hidden errors, microscopic misalignments, and die variations so unique they turned an ordinary coin into a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot. It's like winning the lottery without even buying a ticket. The only catch? You have to know what to look for. Now, let me ask you something. When was the last time you checked your change? Really looked at it? Or did you just toss it aside, thinking it was worthless? That's what most people do. And that's exactly why these pennies slip under the radar, quietly waiting for someone brave enough, or lucky enough, to discover them. So what makes this 2018 D penny so valuable? It's a rare error known as a double die obverse. To the untrained eye, it looks normal. But if you examine it carefully, you'll see subtle doubling on the date and the inscriptions like Liberty and In God We Trust. Under magnification, it almost looks like the letters are trembling, trying to reveal the secret hidden inside this coin. It's so rare, so dramatic, that one of these coins recently sparked a private bidding war that ended at a mind-blowing $880,000. Just imagine that for a second, 1 penny paying off your mortgage, your car loans, maybe even your children's college tuition in one stroke. You might be asking yourself, why haven't I heard about this before? The answer is simple. Coin collectors are a fiercely protective community. They share rumors in tight circles, whispering about auction results and private sales, keeping the most valuable secrets to themselves. But today, for the first time, I'm breaking that silence. Close your eyes for a moment and picture yourself holding this penny. Feel the weight of it. The thin copper disc that could change your family's destiny forever. Can you feel that electric pulse racing through your veins? That's not just excitement, that's the beginning of freedom. Now here's what you need to do. First, grab every 2018 penny you own, and look for that tiny D mint mark, just below the date on the obverse side. Then, under a strong magnifying glass, search for doubling on the letters and numbers. Look closely, almost like you're searching for a hidden treasure map. Because you are, take a moment to think, what would you do if you found it? Would you cash it in immediately and vanish to a tropical island? Or maybe you'd hold on to it a bit longer, watching its value climb as more collectors discover how scarce it really is. Maybe you'd even use it to build a legacy for your children or to start that business you always dreamed about but never thought possible. And here's a question to wake you up: what if you already spent it? What if it's sitting right now in a soda machine or in someone else's pocket? The thought alone can send shivers down your spine. That's why you need to act today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because every single day, someone else might be pulling that life-changing penny out of circulation, sealing your chance forever. Remember, the universe doesn't send us second chances often. When it does, it disguises them as small opportunities, a rusted penny most people would ignore. But you're not most people. You're here because you're searching for something more, a way out, a way up, a way to finally live the life you know you deserve. If you think this is just about money, you're missing the bigger story. It's about empowerment. It's about taking control of your life, seeing potential where everyone else sees trash. This tiny copper coin is your reminder that hidden value surrounds you, waiting for you to claim it. So, what will you do? Will you keep scrolling past your change jar, or will you get up right now and start your search? Will you let fear hold you back, or will you step into the unknown with the courage that legends are made of? Because somewhere out there, your $880,000 penny is waiting, silently, patiently, desperately hoping you'll find it before it vanishes into the void forever. This is your moment. This is your chance. Go find it. And when you do, remember, it wasn't just luck. It was destiny calling you to live the life you were always meant to live. Have you ever walked past a penny on the ground, and felt that tiny moment of hesitation? Most people keep walking. But what if I told you that one simple penny, minted in 2020 with a small D mark, could be worth nearly $873,000? A single moment of awareness could change your entire life. This isn't a fairy tale. Across the country, everyday Americans are discovering these tiny copper secrets hiding in plain sight. Imagine this: you open an old jar of coins in your garage. You find a shiny, ordinary-looking 2020 penny with a Denver mint mark. You shrug, thinking it's worthless, but in reality, it could pay off your mortgage, your kids' college, and buy you that beach house you always dreamed about. Now, why would a modern penny, barely 5 years old, hold so much power? The answer is hidden in the chaos of the minting process. During 2020, the world was in turmoil. The pandemic disrupted almost every industry, even the US Mint. Fewer workers, hurried production, unexpected errors. Some of these pennies escaped into circulation with astonishing flaws that collectors now treat like holy grails. One tiny die crack here, a doubled ear there, a slightly shifted D mint mark, and suddenly, that penny transforms into a treasure worth more than most luxury cars. And here's the question you should be asking yourself right now: could there be one of these pennies sitting in your kitchen drawer? Or maybe inside that old piggy bank you haven't opened since your kids left for college? Picture this: a retired teacher in Colorado recently found one of these rare 2020 D pennies while sorting spare change for a yard sale. She thought it might be worth a few dollars, but after a private auction, she walked away with over $430,000. Just think about the feeling of holding something so small, that holds the power to rewrite your story. But before you go tearing apart your home looking for loose change, you need to know what to look for. Most 2020 D pennies are perfectly normal, just everyday pocket change. But a tiny handful carry microscopic errors, doubled dies, repunched mint marks, or even unexpected design shifts. The most prized versions show clear doubling in Lincoln's ear or in the date numbers. These tiny differences are invisible to most, but to a trained eye, they scream instant fortune. Why does this matter so much? Because these coins are not only mistakes, they're snapshots of history. The year 2020 marked a moment of chaos, fear, and change for America. Owning one of these rare error pennies feels like holding a fragment of that turning point. It's part of why collectors will bid insane amounts, some even pushing toward that $873,000 figure for the most pristine, well-documented examples. Now pause for a second. What would you do with that kind of money? Would you finally retire early and travel the world? Would you build your dream house overlooking a quiet lake, away from all the noise? Or would you simply breathe easier, knowing you're free from the crushing weight of bills and debts. Imagine the freedom, the peace of mind, the pride in turning something so small into a lifetime of comfort, but here's where it gets serious. Because so many of these pennies are still out there. Collectors and dealers are on the hunt every single day. Every hour you delay, someone else might claim that life-changing prize. You might think, oh, I'll check later. But the next buyer might be walking away with your hidden fortune tomorrow morning. That's the fear that keeps collectors up at night, and the excitement that pushes them to check every single penny. So how do you make sure you don't miss out? First, grab a magnifying glass. Yes, a simple tool can open doors to six-figure dreams. Examine the 2020 D penny closely. Check Lincoln's ear for doubling. Inspect the date for any slight doubling or shifts. Look at the mint mark. If you see any odd shapes or ghost-like repunching, your heart should start pounding. If you're unsure, contact a professional grading service. A small inspection fee could turn into hundreds of thousands of dollars in your bank account. Some might say, why would anyone pay so much for a penny? But remember, collectors are not just buying metal. They're buying stories, history, emotional connection, the promise of owning something no one else in the world has. It's art, it's passion, it's legacy. There's a reason why millionaires and museums fight over rare coins. They know the value of rarity. And in the case of the 2020 D-era penny, the rarity is magnified by the mystery and symbolism of the year it was born. At this moment, someone, somewhere, is discovering theirs. Are you going to be the person who watches that happen, or the one who lives it? The opportunity is right in front of you. In your pockets, in your jars, under your car seats. That penny you almost tossed into a tip jar could become the final chapter in your 9 to 5 story, the chapter where you finally step into the life you always deserved. So after this video ends, don't just scroll on. Grab every coin you can find. Search, inspect, dream. Because that tiny, overlooked copper disc might be your key to freedom, and when you finally hold that 2020 D penny with the rare error in your palm, listen closely. You might hear it whisper the promise of a new life, a life of wealth, security, and endless possibility. The question is, will you hear it? Or will you let someone else write your story? The clock is ticking. The choice is yours. You might be holding a 1941 wheat penny right now, and not even realize it's worth up to $99,500. But there's a tiny, almost invisible error that could be hiding in plain sight, and missing it could cost you a fortune. This isn't just another old copper coin. The 1941 wheat penny with no mint mark has secrets, errors, flaws, and historical quirks that are turning average collectors into accidental millionaires. But here's the problem, most people never bother to look close enough. And that one mistake could mean the difference between pocket change and life-changing cash. So here's what to do: grab your 1941 penny, turn on a strong light, and pay very close attention. Because in the next few minutes, you're going to learn exactly what to spot, and why this one coin has shaken the numismatic world. First, let's talk about double dies. One of the most famous errors in the 1941 wheat penny is a double date. If the 1 and 9 in the year look thick or slightly shadowed, almost like they were stamped twice, don't ignore it. That's a classic sign of a double die obverse, and collectors have paid over $8,900 for it at auction. The mistake happens when the die shifts just slightly between strikes, creating that eerie, doubled appearance. And yes, it can be incredibly subtle. Which is why most people never catch it, but that's not all. Roughly 2 minutes in, and you're probably wondering, are there more? Oh yes. Ever heard of a cut error? That's when a piece of the die breaks off during the minting process, causing a raised blob, usually on the rim or close to the lettering. If you see a strange, raised bump near the word Liberty or around, In God We Trust, it might be a cut. And just one of these mistakes sold for $4,600 in a 2022 auction. Still not convinced this coin could be hiding treasure? Well, here's another twist: some 1941 pennies were struck on the wrong metal planchet. That means instead of copper, they were accidentally made using a foreign coin blank. These rare off-metal errors weigh slightly less or feel different in hand. One of these off-metal 1941 wheat pennies sold for a staggering $21,000, all because a collector noticed it felt too light. Let that sink in. Just feeling different was enough to raise suspicion, and that suspicion turned into a five-figure payday. Now here's a myth you might have heard: all 1941 wheat pennies with no mint mark are common. False. While yes, millions were minted in Philadelphia, only a few thousand are known to have die cracks running through Lincoln's shoulder, sometimes referred to as the lightning shoulder variety. These cracks form tiny raised lines that almost look like scars on the coin's surface. And they can be worth anywhere from $350 to $2,200, depending on severity. Let's dig even deeper. Look closely at the word 1 cent on the reverse. If you see any doubling, especially on the E or N, you might have found a double die reverse. It's less common than the obverse doubling but still highly valuable. One recently fetched $3,750 at a heritage auction because of clear doubling on the wheat stalks and lettering, and don't forget, die chips. These are tiny metal bumps that form in places like Lincoln's eye or along the edges of letters when the die begins to wear. They may look like imperfections, but to a trained collector, they scream opportunity. Even a small die chip in the right location can boost the value of a 1941 penny to $480 or more. Are you starting to see why checking these coins matters? Every few years, a story emerges of someone who thought they had just a penny, until an expert spotted a nearly invisible flaw. Like the Ohio man who sold a 1941 no-mint mark penny for $11,000, all because of a rare rotated die strike, where the front and back weren't aligned properly. An error most people overlook, but it changed his life. Here's what you need to do now: grab a magnifying glass. Check the date. Inspect Lincoln's face, his shoulder, the edges of every letter. Look for doubling, cracks, chips, and anything that doesn't seem perfect. Compare your coin's weight if you can. And don't assume anything is worthless until you've double-checked, because let's be honest, how many times have you tossed a coin into a jar without a second thought? What if one of those coins was your hidden treasure? What if you've already held a coin worth $99, $500, and never even knew it? This isn't about hype. It's about awareness. Every 1941 penny with no mint mark has a story, but only a few are written in rare errors, hidden flaws, and historic mistakes that slipped past the U.S. Mint's eyes. Will you be the one who finds it, or the one who lets it slip away forever? Check your coins today, because tomorrow might be too late. Have you ever thrown away a fortune, and never even knew it? That's exactly what thousands of Americans may have done with the 1942 copper wheat penny with the D mint mark. It looks like just another old penny, but one microscopic detail can be worth nearly $1 million. If you're not checking closely, you could be losing $992,000 without ever realizing it. Most people think 1942 pennies aren't special. And for the regular ones, they're right. They're made of bronze, minted in large numbers, and today, most are worth just a few cents. But the 1942 D copper wheat penny hides secrets, and if you miss the signs, you could be spending a fortune without even knowing it. Let's start with the first trap, the 1942 D double die obverse. Some pennies from this year have a strong doubling on the date and the word liberty. At a glance, it's easy to miss. But tilt it under a light, and you'll see it. The numbers 1-9-4-2 look slightly shadowed, as if printed twice. That small mistake. It's no ordinary flaw. One verified example sold for over $45,000 at auction. That's one coin, from one drawer, that could change your life. Still holding onto your seat? Good, because the story gets even stranger. There's a rare variety that almost no one believes exists, but it does. In 1942, the U.S. Mint was preparing for wartime production. That meant transitioning away from copper, eventually leading to the famous 1943 steel pennies. But here's the twist: a few experimental copper planchets from 1943 were struck early, using 1942 dies, creating a transitional error. These ultra-rare coins have a slight weight difference, a deeper copper hue, and most importantly, they don't belong to 1942 or 1943. One of these oddities, confirmed with metal composition tests, reportedly sold $4.85000. But it gets even more thrilling. There's also the D over S mint mark error, a classic case of one mint mark punched over another. In this bizarre 1942 D/S penny, the Denver Mint accidentally stamped over an S from San Francisco. You need a magnifying glass to catch it, but once you know what to look for, you'll never forget it. The D will look thicker, almost awkward. And under zoom, a faint curve from the S peeks out like a ghost from history. One coin with this error went for $27,500, just because someone noticed the odd shape of the letter D. And just when you think you've seen it all, let's talk about die cracks. On 1942 D pennies, cracks often form near Lincoln's shoulder or around the rim. While common ones are worth little, there's a documented crack that forms a crown on Lincoln's head. Collectors call it the crowned Lincoln error. One version with perfect crack lines sold for $5,800 on a collector's site. Why? Because it looks like art, and in the world of rare coins, visual drama means value. 2 more minutes in, and still curious, here's another mind-blowing detail: some 1942 D pennies were struck off-center, missing part of the design. If the date is still visible and the strike is about 15 to 30% off-center, collectors will line up to bid. One such coin. $3,200 at a live auction in Texas. And that's for a coin with a mistake, and let's not forget the over-polished die error, where parts of Lincoln's jacket or beard vanish entirely because the mint workers overcleaned the die. These coins often look off, like Lincoln is missing detail or looks younger than usual. One such coin was graded and listed for $1,100, just because a tiny detail disappeared. Now pause. Think about your childhood piggy bank. That old jar in your garage. The coins you use for vending machines or throw in donation boxes. You may have spent one of these without realizing it. You may already own one. The difference between a worthless penny and a six-figure windfall is just this: knowledge. So next time you pick up a 1942 D wheat penny, don't toss it. Don't ignore it. Inspect it. Tilt it under light. Check the date. Study the mint mark. Look for shadows, cracks, missing pieces. Because somewhere out there, sitting in a drawer or a box of junk coins, is a penny that could make you rich. This is your moment. Don't let $1 million mistake pass through your hands. Check your change. Recheck your collection. You could be just one coin away from everything. There's a small detail on one ordinary-looking coin that could mean the difference between 1 cent and $970,000. It's so subtle, most people never notice it. But if you've got a 1946 wheat penny without a mint mark, this tiny oversight could be silently draining your pocket of a fortune. This isn't just another copper penny story. This is about one of the most misjudged coins in American numismatic history, a coin struck right after the end of World War II, during a time when the U.S. Mint was overwhelmed, and errors slipped through in shocking numbers. But here's the catch: the 1946 no mint mark wheat penny looks completely normal at first glance. People spend them, sell them in bulk, even toss them in jars, not realizing that one microscopic detail can make all the difference. Let me ask you, have you ever looked at the 6 in the date? Really looked? Because some 1946 pennies contain a distorted or double-punched 6, where a secondary shadow curves off the number. It's called a double die obverse, and in 2019, one of these error coins sold for over $12,000, and that wasn't even the cleanest example. Now here's where things get intense. Some rare 1946 wheat pennies have a misaligned die strike, meaning the coin was hit off-center, creating a dramatic, almost warped look. One example, found in a mixed roll, was later graded and auctioned for $7,400. And guess where it was found? In a penny jar, in a garage, during a move. But the most legendary version? It's one you've likely never seen, a 1946 transitional planchet error, where the coin was struck on a leftover wartime steel planchet instead of copper. Only one has ever been confirmed. It looked silvery, weighed differently, and sold for nearly $970,000 at auction. A penny. Almost $1 million. All because it was minted using the wrong metal, but even more haunting, some experts believe more of these steel-struck 1946 coins might still be out there. Unrecognized. Sitting in collections. Hiding in pocket change. Could you be holding one right now? Now, let's zoom in on another mistake, the die crack. It looks like a tiny lightning bolt, often appearing from Lincoln's forehead to the edge of the coin, or slicing through the wheat stalks on the back. Some collectors call these cut errors, when a piece of the die breaks off completely, causing raised blobs or lines. They can add hundreds or even thousands in value, depending on how dramatic they are. One with a bold vertical die crack on Lincoln's bust sold for $2,100, and was discovered in a $1 coin roll from a bank. What makes this even more surprising is how common these errors seem. But the tragedy is, most people just don't know what to look for. They see a penny from 1946, they see it has no mint mark, and they assume it's worth a few cents at best. But that missing mint mark actually confirms it was struck in Philadelphia, where most of these die and strike errors occurred. So how can you tell if your 1946 penny is special? First, grab a magnifying glass or use your phone's camera zoom. Look closely at the date. If the 6 shows doubling, shadowing, or looks like it's been stamped twice, you could be looking at a valuable double die. Next, feel the coin's surface. Any raised, strange ridges or textures that don't match the rest of the design could be die cracks. And if the coin looks slightly off-center, where the rim is thicker on one side, that's a misaligned die strike, another highly prized error. Still with me? Because here's where myths can trap you. Some people think that if a penny is old, it must be valuable. That's not true. Most 1946 wheat pennies are common. But some are hiding rare, explosive errors that collectors are desperate to find. And they'll pay thousands, just to get their hands on them. Others believe that no mint mark means a fake. Wrong again. In 1946, Philadelphia didn't use mint marks at all. So no mint mark is authentic, and potentially valuable if the coin carries one of these hidden mistakes. Every 2 or 3 years, another high-grade error coin from 1946 appears and shocks the market. But think about this, how many more are never found, because someone didn't bother to look? The truth is, you could be sitting on a mini fortune without even realizing it. A tiny error that looks like nothing to the untrained eye, might be your once-in-a-lifetime chance to change everything. So go. Grab your old jars. Dig into your penny rolls. Look at the date. Check for doubling. Search for cracks. Measure the weight. And whatever you do, don't spend another 1946 penny until you know what's hiding on its surface, because every time someone overlooks one of these, another dream slips away, uncashed. Don't let yours be the next. What if I told you that a simple copper penny from 1951, one without a mint mark, might be hiding in your home right now, and it could be worth tens of thousands of dollars? Most people overlook it. They see an old, worn coin and toss it aside. But here's the catch, one tiny mistake on this coin, just one nearly invisible flaw, could mean the difference between a single cent and nearly $35,000 at auction. This isn't just about collecting. It's about what you might already own without knowing it. A 1951 wheat penny with no mint mark might look common, but under the surface, it's a landmine of valuable errors, and most people have absolutely no idea. Let's start with one of the most surprising details. The 1951 penny was minted in Philadelphia if it has no mint mark. And while hundreds of millions were produced, only a few escaped with wild mint errors that turned them into lottery tickets for their owners. One collector spotted a double die reverse, where the wheat stalks on the back appear shadowed and slightly doubled. That penny, barely noticeable unless tilted in the light, sold for over $17,500. Now, pause. Think about that. A penny sitting in your change jar could pay for a family vacation, a home renovation, or even wipe out a credit card bill, just because of a misaligned press in a mint facility over 70 years ago. but that's not the only error. Every 2 minutes, people are waking up to the real value of die cracks, especially around Lincoln's hairline or along the rim of the coin. These fine, jagged breaks in the metal might look like scratches to the untrained eye. But they're not scratches. They're minting flaws. And collectors? They're obsessed with them. One such coin, with a die crack arching from the date to the shoulder, went for over $9,200 in a private sale. Still with me? Because this next part is what really separates the dreamers from the finders. There's a rare myth around the 1951 penny, a belief that none were struck on leftover silver planchets. But that's been shattered. In 2006, a 1951 penny was found struck on a foreign coin blank, giving it an odd hue and weight. The value? A staggering $28,750. And here's the best part, most of these coins weren't discovered by experts. They were found by regular people, checking jars, drawers, and inherited boxes of old coins. Everyday Americans, just like you. To spot these errors, you don't need fancy equipment. A basic magnifying glass can reveal doubling in the letters E pluribus unum on the back, or slight misalignments in the date. If the wheat stalks seem uneven or extra thick, or if the coin feels off-center, you might be staring at a four-figure mistake. There's one last error that sends shivers down collectors' spines: the off-center strike. Imagine the coin stamped just slightly off balance, so part of Lincoln's face is missing. These coins are rare and instantly recognizable. And while a minor off-center might fetch $50 to $100, some extreme versions have gone for over $12,000. Think of that for a moment. How many 1951 pennies have you handled in your life? 5? 10? 100? Now imagine if just one had a barely visible flaw that could change your life. But because you didn't know what to look for, you spent it. Or tossed it in a donation jar. Or worse, gave it away. This is your wake-up call. Don't let another day go by without checking your coins. Especially the ones that seem ordinary. Especially the 1951 no-mint mark wheat penny. The hidden fortune could be hiding in plain sight, and it's waiting for someone who simply knows where to look. Start with your drawers. Check your jars. Open the old albums in your attic. Because you're not just looking for coins, you're looking for a miracle. This isn't just a coin story. It's a warning. Because buried in ordinary change, in dusty drawers and forgotten jars, lies the 1958 copper wheat penny with a D mint mark, and if you don't know what to look for, you could miss a coin worth over $918,000. Most Americans have never heard the full truth about the 1958 D wheat penny. And that's the problem. It's one of those coins that pretends to be common. It looks like every other penny. But one tiny mistake, one microscopic error in its design, changed everything. In 1958, the Denver Mint produced tens of millions of wheat pennies, over 800 million, in fact. But among those, a handful had a hidden secret. A rare double die error so powerful, it launched this coin into collector legend. Most people never see it because they're not looking closely enough. The doubling doesn't scream, it whispers. But once you learn to spot it, you'll never forget it. The most valuable 1958 penny ever sold was a double die obverse, where the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" show clear, shadow-like doubling. It's not a blur. It's a bold, dramatic separation in the letters. It was so well struck, so rare, that it sold for $918,750 at auction, and guess what? Only 3 of these are confirmed to exist. Now imagine finding one in your pocket change, but here's the twist: the 1958 D mint mark version isn't supposed to have this doubling at all. Which means if you find one with even the faintest signs of doubled lettering, you're holding a coin that defies mint history, and could rewrite your future. Hold on. There's more. Some 1958 D pennies have been found with die cracks, tiny lightning bolt-like fractures running across the coin, especially around Lincoln's head or the wheat stalks on the reverse. On most coins, they're just minor. But on the 1958 D, certain cracks formed cuds, raised blobs where the metal filled a broken part of the die. One such coin sold for $2,500, even with heavyware. Still think a penny is just a penny. Let's talk about RPMs, repunched mint marks. The Denver Mint was notorious for inconsistencies back then. If you see a D mint mark that looks like it was stamped twice, slightly offset or shadowed, that's an RPM. Some 1958 D RPM pennies have sold for over $850, just because collectors crave these imperfections. And here's where things get strange: a few sharp-eyed collectors have uncovered off-center strikes in 1958 D pennies, where the design is literally shifted, exposing blank copper on the side. The more off-center it is without losing date visibility, the more valuable it becomes. One such example fetched $1,750 at auction, but what if your coin has more than one error? That's where things explode. A 1958 D wheat penny with both an RPM and a die crack recently stunned collectors when it sold for over $5,200. That's the power of combined rarity. And many of these are still out there, ungraded, unnoticed, unclaimed. So how do you spot these secrets? Start with the front of the coin, the obverse. Use a 10x magnifying glass and study the letters in Liberty, In God We Trust, and especially the date. Look for separation, shadows, or strange thickness. Then check the D mint mark. If it looks weird, like there's a ghost of another D behind it, you may be staring at a repunched mark. Flip the coin. Look at the wheat stalks. Are they sharp? Broken? Do you see tiny raised lines that look like cracks? That could be a die break. If there's a large blob connecting the rim to the wheat stalk, that's a cud, and that's rare. Now here's a critical detail collectors forget: even common-looking 1958 D pennies, if kept in uncirculated condition, can be worth over $65 to $120. Just for being shiny and well-preserved. So don't dismiss a coin just because it doesn't scream rare. The condition is a form of value, but here's the scariest part: every day, people spend these pennies without knowing. They don't check. They don't care. They dump them into coin jars or Coinstar machines. And the moment they do, that rare error, that 5-figure mistake, is lost forever. You might be thinking, what are the odds I have one? But odds don't matter. Effort does. Because all it takes is one glance. One quiet moment with a magnifying glass. One penny, with one hidden error, and everything changes. So before you spend another penny, check your jars, your drawers, your car cup holders. Because the 1958 D wheat penny isn't just history, it's a time bomb of hidden value, waiting for someone smart enough to look. That someone could be you. Don't wait. Don't assume. Pick up that penny, and look again.